On guys, it's Obley here, and today you might be wondering, Obley, why are you in a suit? Well, I'm dressed up nice for the occasion because Blizzard are taking us all out to eat. Because if you play Unholy DK, you're going to be eating good in midnight. There are no more wounds, no more death and decay, lots of ghouls, lots of diseases. I remember having a little chat about this with you guys before at the start of the season, thinking about how we should change the Unholy DK. And look at us now. This is going to be sick. Anyway, let's hop into all the changes now. Okay, so wounds, they've seen the door, they've kicked the bucket. Their wounds are no more, thank God. It's something we always wanted for a long time. I personally wasn't that fussed with wounds, but I do think it's good that they're gone. Anything wound related is pretty much gone as well, or just entirely changed. So for example, things that are gone would be like bursting sores. No wounds, no sores. Then apocalypse has been changed. Actually, to be honest, apocalypse has been completely removed. You just have dark transformation now. You have dark transformation, and then you have Army of the Dead. And Army of the Dead is a talent point that you have to go into, but much like Pillar of Frost, where you always put that point there, you probably always put that point in Army of the Dead too. But things that are still here but changed would be like Festering Scythe, which is just AoE damage and it makes your dots tick faster. Instead of doing 100% damage in this amount of time, they do 100% amount of damage in this amount of time. Just meaning that you reapply your dots quicker. And then you have Fester Might, which instead of increasing strength on wound pop, increases strength on rune spend. With the wound interaction gone now, we have way more focus on ghouls and way more focus on diseases. So we have two diseases. One is a single target disease, and then the other one is virulent plague, just like how we know, just like how we love. But it's the ghoul thing that I think is really cool, because Festering Strike still exists, but instead of putting wounds on a target, it empowers Scourge Strike to summon these lesser ghouls that just expire after some time, but then our talents interact with these lesser ghouls to make them explode, to make them do things. I think that is sick. I think that's such a cool interaction. I've been spitballing ideas like this for such a long time. I've always wanted Unholy to be a type of class that does stuff like this, so I'm really, really gassed for this. We also have this new ability called Putrefy. It basically is you spend one rune, you command your ghoul to do something. It might explode, it might turn into a Magus of the Dead, but that is our new core rotational ability. That is what our spec is going to focus a lot around. I think a lot of you will also be happy to know that Gargoyle is back. I actually loved Gargoyle. I thought Gargoyle was sick, and you now choose between A-Bomb or Gargoyle. So I'll be excited to see how this fares up, how the tuning is. Hopefully we get an expansion where we can actually use our Gargoyle broski, because I've missed him lots. Something else quite cool is Clawing Shadows has been basically removed, or just changed essentially, where instead of being this nice hard-hitting ranged ability that cleaves to 7 targets when you're in your Death and Decay, because we don't really use Death and Decay for AoE anymore, unless you're Sand Lane, it's been changed into this Scourge Strike empowering ability, and essentially it makes Scourge Strike become this shadowy invisible chain lightning. So you hit one target and it will chain to a few more targets depending on how many stacks you've got. I think that's really good. I think that's quite cool. It means you don't really need to be restricted to a location anymore. My god, this is going to be so good just speaking about it. Yeah, anyway, chain lightning effect with Scourge Strike, super cool. Scourge Strike also now infects additional targets with virulent plague, so you don't have to repeatedly spam outbreak every time new enemies become part of the pack that you're fighting. Scourge Strike, your normal single target rotation will just do it for you. Massive dub in my eyes. I think that's fantastic. There are tons of additional things added to do with things like diseases. There's things that make diseases go a lot faster. There's things that make disease damage just happen instantly. And I think this is one thing that will be a little bit of a stepping stone for new players now. I think with all the disease management that's going to go on with Unholy Death Knight, I think it's great, but I think it will be a little bit of like a hurdle. For a new player, they're going to put a disease on the target or targets, and then all of our tree is going to interact with this and make the disease go from not having to worry about it for 20 seconds to all of a sudden reapply it right now. I think that's just going to take some time to get used to. I think as somebody that's been able to like deal with dots in the past, if you have played a Warlock or something like that, you're going to be okay. It's not going to be an issue. But as a new player, just picking this up, it will have a little bit of teething time, let's say. But overall, I do think it's fantastic. I mean, there are so many changes that if I was to just list off every single change in this video, we'd be here forever. There'd be no point. So what I'm going to do, I'll just link the brand new tree in the description, so you can just look at it at your leisure. You don't have to have me just blurting it out. You can look at it in your own time. And one last thing I want to talk about in terms of talent tree changes before we move on to our Apex talent is the hero talents. essentially, if you are a big fan of everything that happened in Season 3 and all the hero talent tier set changes, they are coming with us. So everything that you wear right now that makes your game just feel a little bit better. I mean, for me, I think the Tier 3, the Season 3 tier sets for Unholy and for Frost make the specs a lot nicer. They bring a lot of quality of life. They are going to come with us to Midnight. They are just going to be, you know how you have 3 columns. Well, this is going to be the 4th column. Each step in that column will be a part of the tier set that we know and that we love. But pretty much most of it has been unchanged, to be honest, in terms of our hero talents. They stay the same. But it is nice to know that this isn't just going to be a one-off thing that just appeared in this one expansion. Our hero talents move forward. I personally really like hero talents. I think it brings a lot of freshness to specs, especially every season that comes out, a new one becomes a meta. I'd like that. I think that's pretty good. So that's going to come with us. So next, what the hell is a Apex talent? Well, essentially, it's just 3 additional talent points in our class tree. So for Unholy, you have Forbidden Knowledge. Now, I always thought knowing Xalatath's shoe size was Forbidden Knowledge, but I suppose I was wrong. This is a little bit different. Essentially, when you cast Army of the Dead, you are empowered. Your Death Coil and your Epidemic become these new spells that makes Death Coil like a volley. I remember when I said Death Coil should be a volley. Anyway, it doesn't matter. It becomes a volley. It has a greatly reduced GCD as well. An Epidemic basically just does the same thing, but it just does more damage. I think this is cool. It's nice that they're empowered, but the smaller GCD, I don't know if I agree with that, because you can only spam until you're out of runic power, and then once you're out of runic power, you need to go back to the slower GCD in this window to go to a faster GCD. I think that's going to cause a little bit of an annoying rift. You're going to be just having this payphoning, just having the time of your life, pressing 3 runic power spenders, and then all of a sudden now you have to go back to Festering Strike, get some runic power, and then you're like, great dive, that's really fast, and back to runes really slow. Yeah, I don't know, but it does do more than just that. So let's go through it together. So Forbidden Knowledge, point number 1, this is the empowered spell. So this is Necrotic Coil, and then Graveyard. So when you cast Army of the Dead, Death Coil becomes Necrotic Coil, which is basically the volley, and then Epidemic becomes Graveyard. The dead erupt beneath all foes with Violent Plague, dealing some damage, and then some damage to nearby enemies. Now the next point, Army of the Dead grants some runic power and causes your next Scourge Strike to summon a Lesser Ghoul. And then the last point, when you putrefy a Lesser Ghoul or summon one with Scourge Strike, the duration of Forbidden Knowledge is increased by 1 second. So just further makes that a better cooldown. Just further makes that a better buff for you. Pretty good, not too bad. Okay, so that's everything that's been added in, but what's been taken out? So I think some of the heavy hitters that we will miss, things like Legion of Souls, things like Desecrate and Defile. Defile being gone, it's kind of sad because Defile was so iconic, but like we're never going to use it. I'm happy to see it go, to be honest. But I think Legion of Souls, you could kind of tell when they put Legion of Souls in this patch that they didn't care that much about it. They used the same animation, the same icon. It was a very quick, easy fix that they wanted to do to make sure that we weren't just A-bomb gripping everything and nullifying mechanics as a whole as a DK. You could tell it was a very lazy spell that they were just going to get rid of it at some point. So fine, we're happy to see things like that go. But Unholy Blight being gone, I think is good as well. This no longer will your Dark Transformation put dots on things. This was always a question that would come up and would say, should you outbreak first when Dark Transformation is about 4 seconds away? No longer will this have to be a question. It was always a question where I just thought, like, this is an added layer of difficulty to the spec that nobody really gives a shit about, and it just shouldn't even be there. Happy to see it gone. And then you can see Death Rock gone. Morbidity is still here with Super Strain as well. They're not gone. They're actually still here, but they moved way up in the tree. However, Super Strain and it applying dots from the other specs, that is gone. I think that's fine. I think it was a bit confusing having Frost Fever and Blood Plague, considering they don't all do the same damage as well. Happy to see something like that gone as well. Now, it seems that the common theme here is that they're trying to reduce the amount of things that you need to track. I mean, having ghouls and disease and wounds, having 3 things with the modern UI, the new UI without things like weak auras would be hell to try and track. So for them to remove wounds as a whole, it's a blessing. I think everybody can rejoice in that. But now the way they track ghouls is it's like a buff, and the buff will just tick down like Festamite ticks down, or used to tick down, where different instances had different timings. So without something to time that, and you not really knowing when your ghoul is, it's going to be a bit tough for sure, I think. Hopefully they change some stuff going forward in the alpha. I'd love to get my hands on it so I can actually be in the game and show you guys. Unfortunately, I don't have the alpha at the moment, so I'm just reporting on what you guys see, essentially. But overall, fantastic change. We're way more thematically correct. Instead of having these 3 conflicting themes now, we have 2, and they're 2 that we've always wanted: ghouls and diseases. Alright chaps, well that's it from me. That is my little roundup video on Unholy DK changes coming in midnight. I'm very excited. I'm super keen. I can't wait to give it a go. For sure. How do you guys feel about the changes? Let me know in the comments down below. Join my Discord if you want to be part of the conversation. We're going to be talking about midnight stuff. But in the meantime, like the video, stay subscribed. I'll catch you in the next one. Bye.